And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to the Yards After the Catch podcast. We are back, the four of us, which has been, we were trying to document this in our pre talk. This might be the first time in about 2 years that the four of us have been together. Maybe since the first episode of this podcast. So it's great to be back with the four of us. I'm Alex Young, be hosting alongside Desmond, Alex, and Brian. Desmond, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me back on the show.
The other Alex, Alex R, how are you doing today?
Man, great to see my three favorite guys here on the show. Glad to be back. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. And last but not least, Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Core four is back and we're better than ever. Let's have a day.
That's it. There we go. The core four is back, and we're switching it up today. We're not doing NFL. We're going to do an NFL one, another episode. So stay tuned for that. But today we're going to do some college football. We've been talking about it in our group chat. It is now outside of the group chat. We're going to do some college football. Talk about that as everything in the world of football is ramping up. In college is right around the corner, as well as the NFL's training camps have gone underway. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting year of college football, expanded playoffs, a lot of storylines going into this year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've always talked college football in our group chat here and there, so we said, you know what, we got to do an episode. It's a little preseason episode. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do some four topics today, and break some stuff down in the world of college football. And the first one we are going to talk about is, the expanded playoff, because, why not? And we're going to, there's 12 teams now, and there's usually locks. Every year we know there's at least, 10, 15 teams that we say, lock, but it's now down to 12. It's 12 team playoff. And we know there's locks, the top of the SECs. We all say they're all going to get in, blah, blah, blah. But with this topic point is teams we think should be locks for the playoff this year, but will shockingly be out of the playoffs. Desmond, I'm going to go to you first. Which team are you picking that you think is going to be a lock for the playoff, but by the time the playoffs come around, they're not in it?
I hope I'm not sniping anyone's pick here because we haven't talked beforehand about like who is picking what here. But I went and looked around at teams that you would think would definitely be a lock to be in the college football playoff this year. And there is one team that stands out to me as their schedule is so brutal that I do think they will miss the playoffs this year, and that is Ohio State. I have seen Ohio
Hmm.
State win the Big Ten almost year after year after year. Even the years they don't win the Big Ten, they still find a way to get into the playoff. Won the championship 2 years ago. But have you
Mhm.
seen the schedule for the Buckeyes this year? I think that there might be four losses on this schedule at least. Ohio State has to go to Texas. They also have a hard game going at Iowa, which in the past they have lost that
Mm-hmm.
game. They have a game at Indiana. They have a game at USC, and they have to face Oregon, and they have to face Michigan, which, let's be fair, they've only won once in the last 5 years. So I do think that there might be four losses on this schedule legitimately for Ohio State against quality teams. I think the game at Texas is a big one. I just really
Definitely.
think that going to Texas this year is going to trip them up. If that game was in Ohio State, I feel a little bit differently, but I think Ohio State's kind of poised to be knocked out of the playoffs this year, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they weren't in the 12 teams at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It is. We'll go over to Alex. Like, I agree with you. They do have a brutal schedule.
They do.
And it's always weird because there's always that one team that has the three or four losses that sneak their way in, and we've seen that the last few years. I wonder if that's going to happen with Ohio State. Like if they are not going to get knocked because they have four losses against quality opponents. That's the thing I think is going to. But I don't. I like your pick because again, their schedule is brutal. I don't think enough people have talked enough about Ohio State's schedule and how rough it is. So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. Alex, you had a shock look. Do you want to one react to that
Well,
pick, or do
well,
you want to
no.
just go with your pick?
Well, I want to immediately react to that because
Yeah.
my heart was almost in my ass right now. If we wanted to make news, we did it. I'll tell you that. Yards after the catch, the hottest takes, like the hottest sauce in the hot sauce. Um, yeah, the Scoville scales bananas right now. I gotta say, I mean, I don't see them having more than two losses. I think agree with you, Desmond. Texas um and Oregon would be the big ones. I have Oregon. We'll get into picks later, but I will say like Oregon's cream of the crop with Notre Dame, with Texas. I get it. I think the team that I think is going to slip, that's just a given as a lock every year, is going to be Bama. I'm not sold on Kevin DeBoer. I think they've had big shoes to fill every year since they've been left. The recruiting's been down. The SEC is more competitive, And, we'll talk ad nauseum when we, divvy up some of the other conferences, but I'm just not sold on his leadership. And what I saw in the playoff last year, I saw a team that gave up against Indiana really early.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Alex, I'm gonna say we have the same pick. I'm going with Bama as well. It's just something about it. The vibes just seem slightly off there.
Yep.
They're in a very tough conference in the SEC. Now, do I think they're gonna have a good season? Sure. It's Alabama. They have great talent year after year. But I just since Saban left, the vibes just seem off. Like it just doesn't seem like they're that true powerhouse team that everyone was afraid of, especially me, a Georgia fan. Like now going into Bama matchups, I'm like, God, we got this. Unless Georgia comes out flat, like we got this. And that's why they're my pick, is that they should be a lock. But I just don't have the confidence of Bama this year. There's something about them, like I said, their coaching and things like that. Them being in the SEC, that I can see them getting some losses here and there that just completely knock them out. Now they've been favored before, as we've seen in the past, having a few losses and sneaking their way into the playoffs. Like we said, that can happen with Ohio State this year as well. But I have the same feelings with you, Alex. I'm going with Bama as my pick as well. That they're shockingly not going to be in the playoff.
And real quick, with we saw what Ty Simpson was. Yeah, he's a serviceable quarterback. They've never been a quarterback heavy school, but just from the offensive standpoint, I mean, Ryan Grubb and Sheridan aren't going to cut it the last 2 years with DeBoer. I mean, this is a school that's had, just as their OCs, Sark, Dable, Lane Kiffin, Doug Nussmeier. I mean, huge names in any level, college or pro. So it's like, I just don't see the continuation without Saban there. I really don't.
Not bad at all. Brian, we'll come to you.
So mine's a little controversial. I think it's Notre Dame. And
Ooh.
my reason for that.
Actually, before you go, Brian, I just want to say one quick thing. I don't think it's controversial at all. They were my number 2 pick, right behind Ohio State.
Okay. So, you got backup, Brian. You got backup. Please go.
I got ammunition in the chamber right now, right? So the way that I see Notre Dame is this. Their schedule is very, very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's great if it's about actual seeding for record and not opinionated, seeding like the colleges, right? If they were in the NFL, they'd be in a great situation. College is a completely different world. When a schedule is too easy, you're going to have what happened to them this year with Miami and get jumped again at 10-2 when they got jumped by 10-2 Miami, right? Yeah. Also, now an easy schedule, especially the first 6 games, any type of mistake or slip up is magnified, right? A close game by accident, a player gets hurt. Is Notre Dame for real? What is going to happen with that, right? So I see issues with there. They lose Love at running back, which is an automatic of a downgrade. And no one really knows how big of a gap that is until you watch probably the first 4 games and see that they can't run the ball as effective as they did. And if you think about it even more, right, what also hurts is that they signed a 2-year deal with BYU instead of having the USC game that everyone wanted, right? So that right there is that playoff defining moment that gets you in the playoffs when you beat a team like USC because of the brand and the quality of the team. Now you're playing BYU, who you're going to beat by 50, possibly twice a year, right? Who knows? But that's my issue with this schedule is it's that you're setting yourself up for failure just by how easy it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. Yeah, I don't hate it either. I mean, I know a lot of people say they have a cupcake schedule, like you just said, Brian, like they have the easy schedule. But again, there's also times where that's your detriment because you might play down one week, and that could be an upset loss as well. We've seen it happen with Notre Dame in the past, where they
lost the Ball State at home.
Yeah, like they should have had like easy wins, and then they choke away or something crazy happens, right? So I don't hate it. I think they're just locked just because of the schedule. But like I said, your points again. The reason why they might shockingly not make the playoffs. And again, I think we all have some great teams to pick. Again, I think some people think some of our picks would be controversial, but that's why we do this podcast. We have fun doing it. It's our opinions. If you want to yell at us, do it in the comments. We will gladly have a nice, fun debate with you guys. But those are our teams that we think should be locks that will shockingly be out. And you know what? If we're all wrong, I'll make the funny reel at the end of the season saying that we were all wrong, like I've done with our award predictions last year. Desmond,
I wanted to get one quick thing on the Notre Dame because I definitely want to back up Brian's claim here.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame only has 2 legitimate games on their schedule this season. Just 2 of them. It is home to Miami and at BYU. And I have to tell you, if they lose either one of those games, I am completely okay with an 11-1 Notre Dame team being left out because the rest of their schedule is complete trash. And I don't think they have any argument to get into the college football playoff unless they win both of those games. I got to tell you what, I don't think they're going to win both of those games.
Yeah.
I think that they'll either losing to Miami. I think is an easy pick, but I would not be surprised at all if they went into Provo, to which BYU wins it at home all the time. They've won 33 of their last 40 home games, and they always play that game at night. The crowd is crazy over in Provo. No one cares about Utah. They really care about themselves. I mean, I tell you what, it would not surprise me at all if Notre Dame goes into Provo and loses to BYU.
They could come out flat against Wisconsin.
If they lose to BYU, they deserve to be unranked. That's how I see it. Just based on this schedule, because of how easy it is, you don't deserve to be ranked as a team. I'd rather have a D1 AA team that plays actual top talent than and make it at 25 than this team right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate what you're saying. And then Desmond, I want to throw a real quick question to you based on your main pick with Ohio State.
Yeah.
Again, if Notre Dame, right, loses one of the games that we just said, and Ohio State has 3 to 4 losses on their schedule, would you put Ohio State in over a 1 or 2 loss Notre Dame team? Based
3
on
losses, yes. 4 losses, no. Yeah, 3 losses, yes.
Fair.
4 losses, no.
That's fair.
I agree.
Yeah. No. Because their schedule is absolutely.
I agree
brutal.
too. I mean, why I want to ask you.
When I was looking at it, I was like, "Wait, you have road games at Texas, at Indiana, at USC. That is, and then you have to also play Michigan and Oregon. Come on now,
it's a long day.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to pose the question to you guys, because I think it's an interesting question, because again, we've seen it the last few years with the college football playoff. There's been the team that has 3 losses that proceeds to supersede a team that had a better record, but it's because of the strength of schedule and their losses. Again, some of it's been fluky. Some of them
Bama should have been left out last year.
Exactly. Bama should have been left out. Again, no bias SEC as a Georgia fan, but yes, like we all know. But again, that was
I'll make this one other point, right? They were 17th in rushing last year, and they're losing their best player, and they were 37th in passing. So now you're going from a bottom passing team to probably a 25th level rushing team. You're mediocre offensively now, unless you're going to have a guy step up. So it's just going off stats, not even on schedule now. So easy schedule with the worst team.
But I think that's been the thing with Notre Dame the last few years. I think all of us have been expecting more offensive firepower than. I mean, they've had obviously a top 5 running back in the league. Like clearly, and he moved the top 5 pick of the draft. But I think we've all expected more from the Notre Dame offense from times, and it hasn't been there. And their defense has carried them to their great lengths, right? And that it's going to be interesting to see. Like you just said, they lose one of their stars. It's going to be who's going to pick up the slack for a guy who just went top 4 in the NFL draft, right? Like it's going to be interesting to see. But moving along, those are our picks. Our next one, like we said, we were going to make some picks. Our second topic is we are projecting the winners for the Power 4 conferences, because if we try to project the winners for every single freaking league and conference,
too much.
This would be a 3-hour podcast. It'd be way too much. So we're going Power 4. And for those who don't know who the Power 4 conferences are, that's SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12. Those are the 4 we're going to go with right now. Alex, I'm going to start with you. We're going to go with, I guess, the belle of the ball. We're going to start with the SEC, who might secede from the NCAA. We will see what happens midway through the year. That's a story for another day. But Alex, who's your pick to win the SEC this year?
You just want me to please you. Yeah, I'm taking I'm taking Georgia. It's don't overthink this one, folks at home. It's very clean cut. Kirby Smart is the man. He owns that conference. He's been running it for a few years now. I bet on that defense. I bet on their play action. I love what they try to run on a week-to-week basis. And honestly, they have a pretty reasonable schedule, all things considered, for the SEC. So I won't make it too quick. I mean, I won't make it too difficult, and I'll let Alex wax about his team.
Yeah, I'll get to it, but I'll get to my team. But Brian, I'll go to you. We're gonna go around the horn. We'll go to me.
I'm not even gonna waste time here. We know what team we're talking about, right? So on to the next. Bulldogs all the way.
There we go. I'll go. Obviously, everyone knows. I don't know if you can see on my screen. We're gonna go Georgia. There's my guy, Nolan Smith, former Georgia legend, right there, an autograph card. Philadelphia Eagle, who I'm upset about because I'm a Giants fan. And it's all Georgia over there in Philly because Giants don't want to draft any great defensive players. But I'm going with Georgia as well. Obviously, they're my favorite team. As a lot of you know, I just love, again, team one, but they're getting a lot of returning players, including the quarterback Gunnar Stockton, who I think has improved year over year, has gotten more and more confident. And Kirby Smart, like Alex said, is the man. So I'm going to go Georgia here until we are proven otherwise that there's another team that can compete with them in the SEC. Again, it's a very tough conference, but year over year, Georgia just has such a great team on both sides of the ball, especially on defense. So give me Georgia winning the SEC. Desmond, I'll go with you. Are we going 4 for 4? Or are you switching it up on
Yeah,
us?
no, it's 4 for 4. I mean, until someone can beat Georgia, how can you not pick Georgia? I
Yeah.
think also to just quick sidebar here. We're not gonna don't
Mhm.
get into a separate conversation here, but the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, talks about the deepness of the SEC and SEC Media Days last week. I feel like Georgia's dominance kind of undercuts that because if the league is so deep, why is it only one team can win the damn conference? I mean, seriously, if the talent is so deep, if the league is so competitive, why is it that Georgia just wins this conference every single year and we don't even have to think about it? This is probably the pick I thought about the
Coaching.
least. It was like Georgia, duh, of course.
We-
I don't care. Well, it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
Texas is doing. I don't care that LSU hired Lane Kiffin. Don't tell me about what's happening at Texas A&M and Mike Elko. Oklahoma has John Mateer back. I don't care. It's still Georgia until proven otherwise.
Well, I
I
think
think you
Kirby
take it for
Smart's an
granted.
equivalent of having Bill Belichick at these days now, right? He's like become that level of just constant consistency with whatever he has, even though it's
Yeah.
top, even though he has top talent, everyone plays to the scheme instead of playing to the individuality. And I think that's the key to Georgia.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I like I said, watching them these last few years, especially with Kirby Smart, is that everyone has a role. Everyone knows their role. There's not, these superstars trying to take things over. It is just dominate at every level. And I think Kirby Smart is a great leader with that. Especially, there's a lot of egos on that team. There's a lot of star power on that team, but there's not people out there to me that are just like in your face all the time that I'm trying to be the best. Just play the system, dominate, move on to the next Saturday. But Desmond, did you want to have a point real quick
No,
before
I
I
was
cut
just
you
going
off
to
there?
say that unfortunately part of the system's also losing in the quarterfinal the last 2 years, but hopefully he'll figure that out at some
That's true.
point.
Yeah, that's true.
There's also
It's been
Notre
it's been
Dame,
tough,
bro. Like,
watching.
how'd that happen? Notre
Yeah,
Dame? You have to Notre Dame in the
well,
South,
that
in New Orleans.
that's
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 tough.
yeah, it's tough. It was tough watching. It's fun. It's fun watching this team, like I said, week in week out,
Yeah.
and dominate. But when the team comes out flat, oh my God, do they come out flat? And I think that is like something that Kirby has to learn. Like, especially these last 2 years, where I knew in the first half, like the game was over. Like Georgia was not going to win because if they, like I said, they just came out flat. They're playing from behind, or they're forcing stuff and they make these errant mistakes, and then it's just a ripple effect. And that's why I'm like, Kirby, please let's avoid this going into this year at least. Because
We'll
like I said,
see.
it's been fun watching them, and we'll see. But like you said, Desmond, the last 2 years,
You get
the games that they should have steamrolled teams or just continued
Mhm.
on, they came out so flat, and that was it. They were
instead of like a
done.
54-0 type of game, they stay complacent. They keep it 22-0. It's our
Yeah,
22
yeah.
3. I don't think.
Pardon,
Yeah.
pardon me.
You talk about keep it.
And then they come out flat. Yeah, they lose 24. Whatever it is,
You
21,
Or,
whatever it is. Yeah.
or that
Right,
great
because-
Bulldog defense gets absolutely obliterated by Trinidad Chambliss and Edwin Lacey. So
You talk
Trinidad
about
was on one that game.
you talk
God,
about Kirby keeping these guys
PTSD, Desmond.
honest. So, you talk about Kirby keeping these guys honest. Like, they don't have a real challenge until OU week 4, and that's really going to be pretty smooth sailing too. Bama's not who they were. They got Florida, Ole Miss later in the year, but I think it's pretty favorable schedule. It's pretty middle of the road, but it's enough to keep in the playoff contention and pretty much keep a lock on SEC.
And I mean,
They
there's
should
gonna
play
be
that. They
weeks
should play the
that
bench players first in the first quarter.
yeah,
Let it be
Just
close
Rest
I guess,
everybody
yeah.
until week 5.
to
And then
get
just,
the
yeah.
starters then
Fair
amped
enough.
up to go into the second half and be like, oh, we're behind. We've never done this before.
Remember,
You start playing Enter Sandman like Mariano Rivera,
Exactly.
but for
That's what
Gunnar
we're gonna do.
Stockton to come in the
Yeah.
second half just to steamroll people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember,
That'd be-
Vandy,
oh my
you
God,
got
that'd
you
be
got
so
Vandy,
funny.
Vandy week 5. They ran up on Bama out of nowhere.
Diego Pavia's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows? We don't know. He might try to sneak his way back, get his some year eligibility. But that's the SEC. So we're gonna move along now to the Big Ten. And Desmond, I'm gonna start with you here because of our first talk point in the team. So
Yeah.
are you sticking with your gut and picking a different Big Ten winner based on what you said about Ohio State.
You know what? For me, this one feels like this one's less complicated. I think that it is going to be Oregon again this year. I know they won the conference 2 years ago. They came close to winning it last year. They have been the model of consistency with a lot really working against them,
Hmm.
especially with the travel that they are asked to do being in the Big Ten right now. They have to fly, I think, them in Washington, they have to fly more than basically any other team in America for their games week in and week out. But they are in the playoffs every single year. They've been great under Dan Lanning, and I think they're going to take another step up this year. They're returning a lot of stars from their team last year. They're returning their quarterback, most importantly, returning a lot of guys on defense. And yeah, I think Oregon is going to have at worst a 10-2 season, but I'm thinking more like 11-1 for the regular season. I expect them to be in the Big Ten title game. I expect them to have one of the top four seeds going into the playoffs this year. I think they are the best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I don't hate it, Brian. I'll go over to
Yeah,
you.
no, I agree. When you have a possible number two quarterback in the NFL draft coming back,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit. And a lot of people could say that he could have been better than Mendoza in this draft class, right? Based on
Yeah.
if he went to the combine and just saw a skill like that, not going off of just accolades. And he's back, and the weapons are there, and the defense is returning. I agree with Desmond. 11-1 isn't a hard sell for me.
No.
Yeah.
Alex, I know you were
We're,
shocked by Desmond's Ohio State talking topic. Are you going Ohio State as your title, James?
hell no, I'm going with Oregon, my friend. I mean, they doubled down with the Dante Moore year four move, and they're bringing Rilo out of Nebraska too. But I think it really boils down to these edge rushers, Tuioti, Ugalele, Alexander, and Washington. Those four guys are the solidified core, the seniors that keep that defense the as dominant as it is. I agree with Desmond that yeah, certainly like the travel schedule is a really big problem. But overall, I see them as like the two, three, four, one of the four best teams in the country. So I don't think it's going to hurt them too much in that regard. I love what Lanning's been doing. He's been a lot of consistency, like you said, and they're just fun to watch. I think the worst thing about them is just their uniforms.
Well, I mean, they'll change those every day. So, I mean, you can always get a new one.
Yeah. You
Uh,
always gonna know.
The
I
Stevie
mean,
Wonder
just just really quickly though, I mean, Oregon basically owns West Coast recruiting. I mean, what used to be dominated by like USC, if you go like the western half of the United States, like Oregon is the most dominant team, in the entire region as far as recruiting is concerned. Every top like recruit in this part of the country like wants to go to Oregon. Everyone from California wants to go to Oregon. So I mean, like they have their pick of talent out here, and so yeah, they're going to be formidable every single season.
Yep.
You
Thank
know,
Nike for that.
yeah, you can also. Yeah, I was going to bring up the Nike point. Earlier in the day, I had Ohio State, and then I was thinking for a while, and we're going 4 for 4 because I switched it to Oregon because I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
Just the talent coming back, the depth they have, their defense they have, and again, like Brian alluded to, I think all of us were surprised when Moore said he was going back to college, knowing that he was potentially a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. The fact that you get that back and you get the model consistency there, and the talent that he has, give me Oregon again. And again, I know that the conference is going to be tough, but for them, getting your guy back like that, plus the returning talent on both sides of the ball, I think they're going to have a very special season. And like you alluded to, Desmond, I think it has been an interesting shift of West Coast talent moving there, become the pipeline, because before all of us were like, oh, it's USC, UCLA, well, potentially UCLA at times. But now it's been Oregon.
And
You could thank Nike for that a little bit too. But yeah, it's because of how dominant they've been.
And,
Alex, yeah.
and real quick, we talk about consistency and like them kind of meeting halfway with the conference and the league owner, the league committee members and whatnot. I mean, they're staying in LA for 2 weeks. They're staying in Illinois and Michigan for 5 straight weeks. So I don't know. It's just like between the back and forth and whatnot. I think they've kind of been a little more favorable to these West Coast teams to try to kind of placate them to kind of be even and be more fair-minded with the scheduling and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just according to CBS, I'm just looking at some preseason projected, like Ohio State, obviously, you got the first place votes, but Oregon right there
Mm-hmm.
at 2, and then Indiana at 3 to round out the Big Ten. So I mean, it's not like we're saying anything crazy here that Oregon has a chance to win
No.
the conference at
Nah.
all. I think some people might have picked Indiana with recency bias, but I just think, like we all just alluded to, just Oregon's talent is just they're so deep as a team, and I don't know. I don't know.
Indiana
I mean,
lost
India,
great players to
in
the
And
NFL.
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying. I think
I know.
Indiana's still hyped up, but they still
Yeah.
lost a lot of talent. Like,
they scream more flesh in the pen, right?
yeah.
It's just a product of how good
One
that team
year,
is.
one
I love
Mason.
Zignetti. Like I
Oh,
love
of course.
he's
No, of
building
course,
something
yeah.
there, but I feel like this is the regression year, right? You
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exceeded,
you
you
got to
made
A lot
you
of
everything.
got
their
to
core
retool.
This is the
guys
regression
are
year.
Yeah,
gone.
you
So,
got
I
to
mean, like,
Yeah,
retool.
we got to see that they can replace those guys now.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
that's why
a
I
lot of
think
that
like
was a lot of them was 4-year JMU transfers.
Yeah,
yeah,
they
Yeah,
had an old
exactly.
team.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
think it's
mean,
gonna be interesting. Like again, next year we'll talk about our picks. Like Indiana might have a really good recruiting class, and then we talk about them in there. But I think right now, because of so many people returning to Oregon,
Yeah.
I think you got to go them. And then obviously people are going to vote Ohio State because of their dominance last few years. But as we alluded to, their schedule is very tough, including Oregon. So we
Yeah.
shall see. Moving along, next conference, ACC. I switched mine. I'll go first
I
Okay.
because
switched
I
mine
was
too.
I know it. Oh, now you switched.
I
Before
switched my
there was a potential unanimous four.
yeah.
Uh, you know what? I was looking for a long time, and I said it's been a minute since Louisville had a fun, like they're a good team, but a fun team to watch. Like just tune in, like when Lamar was there. So you know what? I was switching it up because I know a lot of people around the country are going Miami. Some people at the podcast go Miami. You know, I want to switch it up. I'm going Louisville. I love what's happened there recently. I like their talent. It's the ACC is always a weird conference, and I want to tune back into Louisville. It's fun. With Louisville is good. It's fun throughout college football to watch them just because of their style of play. Give me Louisville to win the ACC. Desmond, I'll go over to you. Who's your pick?
I have more to say about Louisville later in this podcast, so I'll keep it for there later. I got Miami. It feels like the team is actually going to be better this year than it was last year. And last year, I mean, if we're being fair, they came one fourth down, like QB draw and a blocked punt away from winning the national champ. The blocked punt for a touchdown was a killer. So I mean, like they could have easily won that game, and I think they're better this year. So this feels to me like one of those like don't overthink it. I mean, I'm not saying Louisville can't win, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I also don't overthink it because the ACC as a whole is not that great of a conference, and I don't really see them getting tripped up with this schedule too much. I think they take care of business against Notre Dame, and then you are flying straight to the clouds football playoff again. Possibly as the number one seed.
Alex, I'll head over to you.
Yeah, Miami. I mean, I really love the upgrade with Mensa coming in from Duke. I thought he did a great job. They clinched the ACC title last year. Obviously, didn't really pan out in the playoff for different reasons, but yeah, I love what they've been able to do, adding pieces for the transfer portal. Malachi Tony coming back is huge. That's going to lead that receiving core, keep it where it was last year. I think the only room for improvement is just on the offense, and I think they have the pieces to do it. They got a guy from West Virginia. They got a guy from South Carolina, Vaughn, and Boston College. So I think Cristobal has done a phenomenal job embracing the transfer portal. I think that's really kind of the undercurrent conversation with which is why they become such a coveted destination. So I think they're going to run it.
Brian, I'll head over to you.
So I'll start off why I'm not picking Miami, as I was going to, but then I decided to pull an audible here.
Because you don't like
It has
mistakes.
to, yeah, no, of course. Listen, it has to replace the quarterback in Carson Wentz. I mean Carson Beck. Okay, they lost two first-round edge rushers in Mesidor and Bain, and they
Mhm.
lost four starting offensive linemen.
Whew, that's tough.
You're restarting your entire team now in a funky conference. Yes, it's Miami. They'll have a good recruiting class. They should be fine. But I do see more of a regression just because of the O line. It's the most important position in the sport for impact to schedule, in my opinion. So that's why I'm going to go with the old Shetland pony SMU here.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
Oh, baby.
I
And
thought
my
you were
whole
joining
thing
me
is
on Louisville. Guess not.
no, they're 14-2 since 2024 in the ACC. They've made it to the title game in 2024. You know, they've had a good run. Their quarterback's coming back. There's a lot of continuity with the head coach there. You know, the quarterback's a fifth-year guy, so he's experienced, and they have the biggest addition, I would say, in the conference which would be the Cal running back. What's his name? Kendrick Raphael. He had 1,200 total yards last year and 14 touchdowns, and it was an all ACC preseason guy. I mean, you add some firepower in the run game with a reliable quarterback right there. I don't see why you can't win, 9, 10 games and have some fun here.
Yeah.
I just see too much of regression in Miami in the O line. That's my worry.
SMU has such a flex going on right now. The fact that they literally were like, yeah, we will take no money at all. Just let us into your conference.
No,
And they've gotten
yeah.
in there and they've won 14 of 16 games. That is
Yeah.
such a flex. I
That
mean,
is a
I'm
flex.
That's what I'm
sorry.
saying. It's the old Shetland pony running around the race now. Come on.
We'll come in for
yeah.
free. Just let us in. And then we'll beat you
yeah.
down.
I need to know.
Yeah. And then watch. The conference will pay them to leave.
I need to know why some of these huge games for Miami on the schedule after week 5 are not even on TV though, on national TV. Like Clemson doesn't make national TV. Pitt, North Carolina, Notre Dame is the only one. Notre Dame's the only one.
The Carson Beck smile is gone. That's why they can't have. They don't have it on TV anymore.
Will you tell me
that
that?
is
You tell me that big bulbous head didn't get any really good signal.
No,
It's more of an
But,
indictment
like,
on the ACC,
tag-
though.
the
Really,
tag-
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's because the networks want the other conferences.
I mean, because the ACC, level of competition is just not good. I mean, in my opinion, they're the worst of the 4 conferences.
If Clemson was still solid, like still the powerhouse,
Right.
I think there would be more games.
2 of your
Like, I
3
feel like-
marquee brands are either mediocre or terrible. Florida State and Clemson being bad is really bad for that conference.
But
exactly.
I think that's why the start times are TBD, because if they move them down, they negotiate, they'll probably get the earlier time slot.
no, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing to
They'll
finish off SMU though. Their schedule really isn't that bad. The 2 hardest teams are Florida State week 1 and then Notre Dame in the second to last week. The 2 defining games. If they come out hard and a good loss to Florida State, and we know Notre Dame, it might be a toss up at that point. I mean, you're looking at 11-1 in my opinion.
You should get through Florida State at this point.
Yeah, but you never know. It's just the pedigree of having.
Yeah,
So it's
they're still a decent program. I'm not, but
Exactly.
you should.
They find a way to shock you
at
occasionally.
least week 1. At least week 1. But they could sneak up on you. But it's not that big Broncos, because looking at the ACC, like I said, this is a preseason media vote. It's Miami, SMU, Louisville, Clemson, and then Georgia Tech rounding out the top 5. And Georgia Tech's always been a thorn in the side of teams in the ACC. So they're also
Had a great year last year.
They had a great year last year, and they always scare me as a team when they face like a Georgia. I'm like, they're always a interesting team. So yeah, not surprised they're in the top 5. Virginia in the 6, but that's because the new head coach or some of the moves there for Virginia Tech. But yeah, Florida State's 11. But again, they're a team that can sneak up at you any week based on the talent. But moving along to our third topic. This is a weirdly phrased one, so I can explain it.
Oh, we didn't pick the Big 12 winner.
Oh yeah, sorry. Skipping the Big 12. Sorry, we got to go back. Big 12.
Yeah. We'll make it
Brian,
quick.
sorry, real quick, because I think
Don't say
all
it
of us should have Big 12. Brian, sorry, Big 12. Didn't mean to forget you. Big 12. Brian, I'll go with you. Who's your pick?
Honestly, for this,
Nickname. Big 12, Brian.
If you need a second, I can go first.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go wild card. I'm going to Utah with the best backfield in the country with Devon Temple and with Sean Parker.
You got the
That's
wrong
not a
Utah
bad pick.
team.
That's
That's
not a bad pick.
It's not.
No, I like that pick actually.
Yeah, Desmond, I'll go with you. Who do you want?
It's BYU time, man. I have them winning that game against Notre Dame. I think they win that game. I think they go 11-1 this year. I really like BYU. I like them to get to the playoff this year, but we'll talk about that later.
Alex, who's your pick for the Big 12?
Yeah, still my pick. I mean, BYU seems like the easy pick for me, at least. I know OU has regressed. Utah, the Utes themselves, I know they lost their coach to Michigan. That's going to be quite a change as well. But I just think they're head and heels over dominant compared to these other schools. And undercurrent too, they're one of the oldest rosters in the college football landscape. So that's a really huge asset, especially when you're talking about experienced guys.
Yeah.
I was between BYU and Texas Tech. Those are my 2. I'm leaning with Texas Tech, though. I just like that they're getting some talent back. I always like their offense, and I think their jerseys are also cool, so they give a few extra bonus points to Texas Tech.
And they got a billionaire bank rolling them.
and
I
they have
mean,
a lot of bankroll.
He's willing to pay $30 million out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
Money does matter. Money does matter.
Money
really
does matter in the world of
does.
NIL. And yeah, like I said, I think they have a lot of fraternity players, if I'm looking at the stats correctly. But
Yeah.
just Texas Tech, I think is going to be a team to look out for. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if BYU ends up winning that conference. Like I said, I think you can kind of flip flop between those two, but we'll see. And those are the Power Four conferences. Our projected winners. Sorry again to the Big 12 that I forgot you guys for a half second. That's bad hosting by me. But moving along to topic number 3. We're going to pick a few teams here, but this is top 10 teams most likely to make the playoff that haven't been there in the past 2 years. So this is teams that have not made the playoffs that we expect in the 12-team playoff era to make it this year. So we have a couple teams that we're going to list out, potentially, maybe two, probably two a person, on teams we think are going to finally crack the playoff that haven't. Desmond, I'll start with you here.
Okay.
Who do you got?
I like going first. It means I get 3. You got
Yeah.
So that's good. I am gonna make the case here. And I appreciate you guys doing this topic with me. I know I kind of push this topic in the group chat a little bit. I'm picking the Washington Huskies as my team to make the playoffs this year.
Great choice.
I cannot stress enough just how much I am a fan of what Washington's done over the last couple of years. They've flown underneath the radar in the Big Ten. Just quick little points here. Did you know that Washington over the last 4 years now has the second best home winning percentage next to Georgia in the country? They are 25-2 at home since 2022. Their only 2 losses have been to Ohio State and Oregon in that time. Last year, they were 20th in points for and 15th in points allowed in the entire country. And I look at their schedule, and honestly, I really like what I'm seeing here. I mean, they start off the season all 4 games at home against Washington State, Utah State, Eastern Washington, Minnesota. They have a really manageable schedule here. I think they could honestly go 10-0 going into the end of the season here, where they have to face Indiana and Oregon back to back. And I wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to win one of those games. So I really like Washington finding a way to get to 10, possibly 11 wins this year and sneaking into the college football playoff.
All right. Not a bad start for your first team. Brian, what is your first team to start off with? We'll probably go with a team each, and then we'll bounce back.
It's crazy. It's because I really can't stand this guy, and I wish him nothing but the worst, but it's going to be LSU and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. He's the only way to find him is a smug son of a bitch, but he's going to somehow figure out to get that team to be sneaky good and slip right in. It's the next year of contending.
It's going to slip right into Olivia Dunn.
Yeah.
Alex, I'll go with you.
Sorry,
who's your first team to start on that note?
My apologies. My apologies.
Hey there.
I think I made a very disheartening comment about Madison Beer 2 weeks ago. My apologies. Yeah, so I understood this question a little differently. I was thinking more top 10 outside teams as kind of dark horses to kind of get into the playoff for the first time, or for a first time in a long time. But with that, I mean, Desmond took my Washington pick. I think they've been a team that's been under the radar for a long time, particularly before and after our boy Penix left. But I'm a big believer in Pitt.
Okay.
Pitt has a really nice schedule right now. The AP's got them at 35.
Yeah.
They're kind of hovering, in obscurity because people don't kind of give them the time of day. But this is a program that goes toe to toe. Loses a lot of tight games in years past with a lot of powerhouses in the Big Ten. They're a very experienced coaching staff, and I really like what they're made of in terms of their roster. They just got young, really experienced, tough guys on both sides of their front four. Schedules. I mean, it's a tough schedule, but it's not it's not impossible. You got North Carolina sandwiched in the middle there. It's really just Miami and Louisville. Miami in week 7, and then you got Louisville second to last week of the year. But in all the important key metrics and stuff, they're hovering around 20 to 24, in the country when it comes to passing yards and points per game and so on and so forth. I think they can really light up the scoreboard, and they can outshoot a lot of these teams that they have to play both in the Big Ten and the ACC.
Pitt's a great pick.
Pick is a good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if this is an obvious pick, but I've been waiting for this team to finally turn it on. I'm going USC as my
Okay.
Mhm.
first pick
I mean,
Yeah.
for a team to finally make it to the playoff. When are they going to turn things around with the head coach that they have, the recruits that they've had? When are they
it's been
finally
like
going to
what,
sneak it
6
in?
years?
Like it's been a while since we've seen USC be in the playoff picture and have a dominant season, especially with the talent that they've had, especially with the coach that they've had. I don't know if this is a make or break year for their head coach, but when like they have to, I feel like this is the year they have to make the playoff. And I'm looking at their schedule right now.
It's
Their
brutal.
first, their
I'm
first
sorry.
their first 4 games are winnable games. Then it gets a little tough, but they have San Jose State, Fresno State, Louisiana, Rutgers. Then they have a little bit of a gauntlet. It's Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Then it's Indiana, Maryland, and USC
Oh
and
fuck.
UCLA. So they have a
Yeah.
gauntlet on the second half of their year.
Yeah.
But again, there's some winnable games in the middle there where I think they can sneak in. But that's the team for me where I'm thinking like we haven't seen USC be a dominant program in a while, despite
Yeah.
what they have,
Yeah.
despite the reputation, especially from their head coach. So that's why I have them as a pick that I think we should keep their eye on. They haven't made this format yet. I have USC as my first team on my list. Desmond, your second team. Who do you have?
Right, right. So I'm gonna probably maybe snipe one that I was hoping was a little underneath the radar here. But I'm going with North Dakota State
Mmm.
because they
Personally,
just moved up from FCS to FBS. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a team that won, first and foremost, we'll go a quick side right here. FCS has had a 2014 playoff for as long as I've lived in Montana, and somehow the tournament still works just fine for all the haters out there for the 2014 playoff. Um, in that time, North Dakota State has won 10 national championships in the last 15 years. That is a mega dynasty as far as I'm concerned. And when they would face FBS teams, they would routinely win. Sometimes, like in their own house, they would go and play teams like Iowa, Kansas State, Iowa State. They were playing Power Four teams and they were winning with FCS talent. Now they're in the FBS. I have no problem whatsoever saying that North Dakota State will probably more than once in the next like few years here be the group of 6 representative that gets into the college football playoff.
I don't hate it. I feel like they deserve a little bit more respect out of that conference. So I love it. Brian, what is your second team or another team to look out for on your list?
I mean, for me, it's Florida. I really like Florida. I
Okay.
like the
They're on my
hire.
pick
All
too.
right, I like the hire with Summerall. Right, it's 42-11 at Tulane, which I think, and Troy, which is a great pedigree.
yeah.
Staff is strong, right? They have the guy from Georgia Tech for on offense. What's his name? Faulkner, I think it is, as the OC.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to read my notes. For them, really what I'm seeing is that it's a softer schedule than usual for them, and it is, they're what's it called? There's drops in, they're in the SEC in the sense that I see them winning games like Alabama, right? There is no Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, right? All these teams, everything's up for grabs. Where I think they have the ability to make a run. The only thing though for them is it's the quarterback position on who they're going to go with what's his name, Jones and Philo, right? So that has to get actually figured out. But I do like the head coach and his ability to win games year after year, where they'll at least be consistent enough where if they strike gold in their talent on the offensive line and the front seven, if they can get that in order, then they'll be able to move forward. So it's a long shot, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. They were my number 2 team on my list behind USC. They're my second pick, Brian, as well. I
Yeah.
agree with you looking at their schedule early on, similar to USC, right? Like when are they going to turn back the clock a
Yeah.
little bit? When are they going to be the program
Hmm.
that we know
Yeah.
of? Yeah, I like I said, their hirings. I like what they've had. Again, but looking at the schedule, they have, you know, a little bit of a roadblock at Ole Miss, but the first 3 weeks of the season, they should start 3-0. Good start
No, yeah.
there. And then the middle of the season, they have a couple games. But again, they have Texas and Georgia back to back. That's tough.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
I agree with you,
Hmm.
Brian, what you said, Florida. Desmond, what did you want to say
Yeah.
real quick on
I
that?
just want to say really quickly, looking at Florida's schedule, they have 4 games that I think seem kind of like toss-ups, against
Mhm.
Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. If they won 2 of those 4 games, I think they're a 10-win team. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think a 10-win
Yeah.
SEC team's getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, we talk about Notre Dame losing games because of the softness. I mean, not getting in for the softness of this schedule, right, in the top four. Then we talk about team, oh, you're so soft the schedule, you're just going to go and get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
The dichotomy of this is very interesting now.
But
Yeah.
that's what looking at this year, right? There's so much parity at this point. We don't know what can happen in this league. But again,
Exactly.
like the soft schedule for Notre Dame could be their detriment because what we just said, even with Florida,
Yeah.
right? They have a couple tough losses, and they like whatever. People are going to heavily look at Florida and potentially be like, oh, they have one extra loss, but they lost to
No, yeah.
Georgia by a touchdown. We're gonna
Yeah.
slide them in Notre Dame, eat rocks.
Yeah.
That's why I think
No,
it's
it's
interesting.
true.
Get out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. That's why I like Florida as a team too. Alex, who's your team? Another team for you to watch?
Yeah, right behind them. I love what Iowa did in the offseason.
They're my other team too.
Yeah, they had really good points against defense last year. They were like top 10 in the nation in a really tough Big Ten. So their defense was locked down. What they really focused on the offseason was loading up and adding weapons. So they added the running back from from South Dakota State, who in the FBS, I think he had he was rushing, he was the leader. He had like 2,000 yards for the year, which was incredible. Added speedsters on the edges, a kid from Rio Grande and from James Madison, Tyler Brown, who I really like, Evan James from Furman. I think this is just about putting some real offensive pieces that light up the scoreboard. And I think when you look at the schedule, you got Michigan, Ohio State, Washington 3 weeks in a row. If you can just win one of those, and you can go into playoff contention 10-2, I think that's good enough to get a second look for the Big Ten.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. They were my third team, Iowa. I've got to see them up close and personal. Again, being from Jersey, being a Rutgers fan. It's Georgia first, and then Rutgers, Jersey. But my wife's family are all big Rutgers fans, so got to see and watch Iowa. I think they're a great program. Alex, like I said, they're always a successful team. They always seem to miss out here just barely because of a little loss here, a little loss there. I feel if they button things up, there'd be a team to watch. I completely agree with you, Alex, there. Desmond, is there another team you have on your list that we haven't discussed yet? You might want to.
Yeah, I got one more. It kind of just came up in conversation earlier, but it's BYU. Like having them winning the Big 12, is obviously going to have them in the playoffs. But they've missed out the last 2 years. But the last 2 years in the Big 12, they were a top 3 team in the Big 12 each of the first 2 years they were in it. And I do think they're going to take another step up. I mean, the school went and re-signed that coach when he was getting offers from Penn State.
Yeah.
I think that, if they are able to win that Notre Dame game and they end the season with 11 wins, I mean, they could possibly get in even if they don't win the Big 12 title game. So I really like BYU's chance to kind of get into the tournament this year. And I got to tell you, just from a bias standpoint, I really want to see them host a home playoff game in Provo because I feel like that would be epic, and I just really want to see that.
Yeah, that'd be broadcast football fan dream there. That environment would be insane that type of year. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I would be all
December.
For that. In December,
you have to go to altitude in the cold. Against. Come on, no, I can't wait to see. No offense, Georgia come up to Utah and play in the cold like that.
It'd be interesting. I'd be a little scared. I'd be slightly scared. But who knows? Alex or Brian, is there any other teams we haven't really hit that you might want to drop real quick?
I like one. I like Memphis. I think Memphis is a quality team. They're one of the only 6 teams in FBS that finished 500 better since the college football era began for the playoffs, right? So you have that. You have that they're 8-1 last year before they had those losses, those 3 straight in November, and the bowl lost to NC State. But they're filling in those key pieces now to get it going to try to have that consistency. This constant, talent getting updated there. They have the former Ohio State starting running back, Dallin Hayden now, right? That's a good upgrade at that position. And also just pedigree, right? They're chasing their 13th consecutive bowl eligible season, right? So just something like that after being so bad in the early, 2008 and the aughts in that area, right? Not quality team. I see them sneaking in.
I don't hate it. Alex, you have another team?
No, I think we hit a lot of the stuff I want to talk about.
There was one team, and I just want to talk about the head coach hiring.
Yeah.
Do we think Virginia Tech turns it around this year?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Unless Michael Vick suits up with Tyrod Taylor.
There is one more
Franklin is
team
a
that I had on my
James.
list, but like it wasn't Virginia Tech.
It wasn't Virginia
It
Tech.
was
You
not
want to quickly
Virginia
say
Tech.
what team you had? You can
You
say
know,
it. You could,
it's surprisingly it's Michigan.
Okay.
You
Oh
know,
no,
Okay.
no.
I mean, first of all, I know I'm kind of standing over here for the West, you know,
Yeah.
being the Western representative on the team here. But Kyle Whittingham was an amazing coach for Utah for
He was.
20 something
He was.
years.
Yep.
I mean, like made that program just like great year in and year out. And they had a terrible kind of like recruiting environment in and around Utah. I don't know if you know this, but not a lot of people live in this part of the country. So him being able to take what he already had as far as talent as a coach was concerned, as a program builder is concerned, and then he gets to now put that in combination with all of Michigan's resources, which I don't know if you know this, but they have a lot of money. Like they have a lot of money. They
A
have like the
lot.
fifth biggest
Money
endowment in
matters.
the country.
There it is again.
So
Money matters. Yeah.
yeah, like more than most Ivy League schools. Like Michigan has a stupid amount of money. So yeah, I don't think it's a stretch to see that Michigan win some games you wouldn't expect them to win. And they could a 10-2 Michigan team will make the college football playoff because
Yeah.
let's call it what it is. The selection committee loves brands. And Michigan
Right.
is the biggest brand in the Big Ten over Ohio State.
And why do you
Even with the
think Alabama made it in?
controversy, yeah, even with the controversy though, I don't know. I think this offseason sort of is going to loom over them for a little bit.
I believe in Whittingham. I don't like saying that as a Penn State fan, but like, you know, I think Michigan's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I can see Michigan bounce back too, and I know there's a lot of controversy and a lot of stuff. And there's going to be a team we're talking about controversy that I have as in our next topic.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think Michigan could definitely bounce back. But it's kind of funny, just real quick on the Virginia Tech thing. I love how all of you guys collectively were like, "Hell no!" And it's gonna be kind of funny if they.
Unless
It's
you're
gonna be kind
doing
of funny
triple
because I can
option
make a
with
fun
Michael
clip.
Vick and Tyrod Taylor.
I
That's
could.
the only way it's
It
happening.
could be a fun. I can't wait to be a fun clip to get all this and see you guys say hell no, and then I look at their record and be like, oh, maybe they were wrong.
They went
But who knows?
undefeated.
Again,
Oh
it's
no.
Franklin. It's Franklin. Who knows? Anything can happen with that guy. But all right, moving along to our last topic of this podcast because we're getting closer and closer to week 0 or week 1. Or both weeks, week 0 and week 1. It's always weird when there's a week 0 and then it's week 1, and I don't
Week
know.
zero
It's
is
always
weird.
weird. It's just weird. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But our last topic of podcast is we're going to look ahead to which week 0 or week 1 game everyone has their eyes on. So Alex, I'll start with you on this one. Which week 0 or week 1 game
Ooh.
do you have your eye on the most?
Well, I know the obvious one that I'm not going to touch from Saturday, September 5th, so I'm going to leave that. I will take the more interesting one that is a little less profile, and that's UNC TCU, excuse me.
Okay.
Took my pick.
Yeah, check mine.
Oh,
Ah.
I was trying to avoid LSU Clemson because
My
Yeah.
real question with that game is, will Bill Belichick's girlfriend's parents allow her to travel internationally? That's the real question without having a chaperone.
Jordan, you have to get off his lap so he can coach. Goddamn. Well, okay. Anyway, I think this is a huge make or break year for Belichick with this team. This is another school that's poured a ton of money in athletics. They signed Mike Malone for basketball. We know the direction that they're going in terms of paying for NIL. There's high expectations with this football roster. This is now what, year 2 or 3 with under his leadership.
Year 2.
Yeah, it's year
Yeah.
2. But year 2 used to be the 3rd year in college recruiting. I think it's expedited because of the transfer portal. So I expect them to make some serious moves. We kind of lamented that year past. But I think that they're gonna keep things competitive, and I want to see how TCU comes out. If they're going to be a real competitor in the Big 12.
Yeah, I have your exact reasonings as well, Alex. More for Belichick, see if you turn this program around. But also just because there's this controversy with this UNC team, and it's getting out of freaking control at this point, which is
Yeah.
why I have my eyes on that. You have a tough point at week 1. TCU again, always been a solid program as well. But North Carolina, they placed their GM Mike Lombardi on administrative leave, and it's Belichick Lombardi is supposed to be a duo, and now their GM's on paid administrative leave. Not a great look in the tenure right now of Bill Belichick, and that's another thing. Like I said, I'm looking at this game to see if there's any sort of life with this program. Because if this team comes out dead week one, I think all of us are gonna say he has to go. Like I think we're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
look a few weeks in a year, and I wouldn't be surprised if UNC just pays him to end this absolute insane tenure. I think it's been one of the most disappointing hirings we've ever seen. We kind of all saw it coming. Like we kind of were like, yeah, like I don't know if this is really gonna work. It hasn't, and I think it's getting worse before it's even started, which is never a great sign. And I don't think we've seen someone destroy their legacy as quick as Bill Belichick. Like this just is destroyed his legacy. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. That's why I have them as a week one watch, more because of the controversy, not because of the matchup. I just really want to see how this team looks going to year two of Bill Belichick. Because again, if this team comes out flat, I think all of us are going to be like, "This is an absolute joke." Desmond, I'll go over to you. One, if you want to react, feel free. But two, which week zero or week one game do you have your eyes on?
Man, I have a list of 10 games next to me because I wasn't sure what you guys were going to say. And I have to say, after that conversation, I think I know exactly which game I'm going to pick now. It is going to be Colorado at Georgia Tech for similar
Mm.
reasons.
Mm.
Because talking about the greatness that is attached to your coach and watching it just kind of erode over time is exactly what we're seeing now with Colorado. I mean, they started out so hot that first year that he was there, and then to follow it up with a worst year the next year, and then to follow it up with a worst year the next year after that. There's going to be so much heat on Deion Sanders if Colorado comes out and gets embarrassed. I mean, they lost this game last year to Georgia Tech in Boulder, in Colorado. Now you have to
Yeah.
fly across the country and go play this game in Atlanta. And I'm sorry, but if you watch Georgia Tech, like they don't win like 10 games every season, but they are good every single season. You know, they are a tough team. They take Georgia to the brink all the time. And I really think that they could go over to Atlanta, get embarrassed by Georgia Tech, and then people are going to be asking themselves, do we need to get rid of Coach Prime? Is it time to get rid of him? Because he can't be competitive in a conference that, let's face it, is not super difficult to be competitive in. I mean, Colorado should at least be winning 8 or 9 games a year, and they won what, 4 last year?
Something like that. It
Yeah,
was
no,
massive
I couldn't
disappointment.
agree more with you. They were actually my pick as well. Besides UNC, I had them on my list. But my issue with Prime is where is the recruiting? I just am not
Yeah.
seeing it,
Yeah.
and I think a part of it is, you know, he's the best cornerback ever, and Bill Belichick, best head coach ever. They're both assholes. Unfortunately, that's just personality. I wouldn't want to like, yeah, oh great to play with Prime. You have to want to enjoy to show up to work. He's on your back, ripping you a new one every day, talking about how you're supposed to live, breathe, and this, that, the other thing. This is a teenager to a 20-year-old kid that's like, I want to do me and make a brand for myself. I don't need you as a head coach anymore. I have NIL money. I'm fine. I'm an independent agent just working under you to get a salary and make it to the NFL. So the head coach, the feeding into the mantra has died because of NIL now, where I think he loses his glamour that he could have once had in a time before that. And you're seeing it fizzle out now because his son isn't there to be the shining knight on the hill, and his own line's terrible, and he has no run game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tough kind of to play off that a little bit because he really plays himself as like a disciplinarian, as somebody who's like really focused on the details. But when you
Yeah,
watch Colorado football, like you're seeing offensive linemen miss blocks, you're
yeah,
seeing running backs like hit the wrong holes, you're seeing quarterbacks not making the right reads, you're seeing a defense that can't stop the run, you're seeing defensive backs who can't cover receivers. And I'm like, where is the attention to detail? I
yeah.
mean, God, it
It feels
just
like it's more.
I
Yeah,
don't see it. I really don't. And I was watching him like rooting for him. I was like, I
same.
want Colorado to be
Same.
successful, but like
Yeah.
I've been watching their games the last few years and it's been tough to watch it because I'm just like the level of play here is just bad. Like let's just call it what it is.
It's more attention to the brand. And that's what it feels like
Yeah.
as his pedigree, ages. And to be honest with you, if you really look at his NFL career as he got older, it's sort of the attention to detail went away and it was more towards the brand. So I don't
Mm.
know if that's just him once he gets comfortable, right? And then it's it's everything's for show. But I need to see actual coaching again, like I did back in the day when he was at what was it, Jackson
Jackson
State? I
State.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see that again.
Yeah, I think we all want to see that version of it because I
Mhm.
think there's been times too where we see this Colorado team, it's a confidence issue as well. Because we've seen the times where players were getting thrown under the bus left and right. Like, why
Yeah.
would you want to go
Yeah,
to at bat when you're getting thrown under the bus? Like, yeah, okay, there's moments for sure where you can get called out. But when you're going to the media getting called out about it, I think that kind of affects players negatively.
yeah,
And I think that's what's happened at Colorado at times. Like,
Yeah.
especially with like Shador, like when Shador was there was times he was throwing his offensive lineman under the bus. Warranted. There's moments it was definitely warranted, but there's also times where a coach should step in and be like, you shouldn't be doing that. Let's do
yeah.
this behind closed doors, set
Hmm.
everyone down, tell them to step up. You're making us look bad. We can win when you guys are playing at a high level. Whereas going to the media, a player's going to read that, hear that, and be like, screw that guy.
Yeah, I'm
You
out of
know,
here.
and I think that's what's happened at times with Prime. Where he says some things that might rub the players the wrong way, and it causes confidence issues. And now we have to see what happens in with this year. Again, we all were rooting for him. But again, maybe his ego and he's the brand is big for him, and he's not doing the things that we saw when he was a head coach early on, when he had the drive to turn a program around.
Yeah.
So it is going to be interesting
I'll add
for
one
that
more
pick too.
thing,
Yeah.
just saying, with the whole Shador falling in the draft thing, as an administration or as a GM of a college football team, do I really still want him as a head coach when I know that he literally, his style and brand and the arrogance that he put in his son and how he controlled the narrative of his son's career in college has literally led him going from a first round pick to a fifth round pick.
Yeah.
Like that was a punishment of the NFL to Prime. It wasn't to Shador. They
Yeah.
don't ever blame the kid. How did one's personality as a child is based off of events that occurred in their life and how they were brought up. They're blaming Dion, and Dion turned that kid into what he was. And the NFL said, "Really? That's how you think you're going to make kids going into the league in your program? Watch this."
They also retired his number, which is
It's,
baffling
and
it's
to me.
and
disgusting.
and Hunter
And the number
Hunter
that he
Hunter had the
held,
argument. Hunter had the argument to get
Yeah,
his
he won the
number,
Heisman.
but
Yeah.
Shador, come on now,
That
that
was too much.
that was too much.
I mean, I forget the quarterback's name who actually held the number for him. He was like a Heisman guy back in the '90s and brought them almost like into a contending team, and he didn't even get his number retired. I can't even think of his name, but
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's another thing too. I think it drives you the wrong way. But speaking of famous dads, like say what you want about LeVar Ball, like in that family, he got his kids drafted. Top 10 of the draft. Dion tried to do a similar thing and see what resulted there. That's
work
where you
out.
go look
Yeah,
at it. How'd that work out for him? Did not work
yeah.
out well. So there we go. Those are week one. I have a couple other games I just wanted to note a note real quick before we wrap up. For week one, Clemson LSU. I think is another game you keep an eye out for. Lane Kiffin's debut against the ACC. With LSU against the team, like I said, a former powerhouse in Clemson. Another game, Labor Day weekend. I think we're all going to be tuned in for is Ole Miss Louisville. I think
I
that's
was going to
another
mention that
matchup.
one. Yeah.
I think
Yep.
Ole Miss Louisville, another really fun matchup. Labor Day weekend to tune in for. Again, week one matchup. That's going to be a fun and exciting one. Could change the fate on those programs week one. We'll see. Based on my pick, I hope Louisville ends up winning that game. So I look
That's
forward
a really
to
big
that.
game. I think that might be
Yeah,
the biggest game of the weekend if I'm
yeah.
not lying
I
there.
mean, it's neutral site non-conference, right? It's like the measuring stick
Yeah,
for
it's
the
in,
for the,
in
for the
Nashville.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
perfectly
in Nashville. Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
And between
Yeah.
LSU, Clemson, and Louisville, Ole Miss, it's just one day apart at 6:30, the same exact time
Yeah.
on ESPN, ABC.
It's crazy to me looking at like I'm on ESPN looking at week one. It's technically the 22nd to the 7th,
Yeah.
and then you just go down. It's like a few games you get, and then you see that first Saturday. It's just an endless
Oh,
wall
yeah.
Oh yeah,
of games.
Nuts.
It is just. I
Yeah.
was
Welcome back-
scrolling for a
welcome back
minute
to college
there. I was
football.
like, oh, and then all of a sudden it's like Sunday, 3 games, Louisville, Ole Miss. I'm like, oh, okay. Wisconsin, Notre Dame is also on that Sunday, but that first
Got my eye
Saturday,
on that
oh my
one.
God, there's
Yeah.
a much.
and that's only FBS. Now imagine if you had the other schools.
Oh yeah, oh my
I will
God.
be. I'll be watching the Montana game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
500 football games on a
That's
Saturday.
we love
I'll
it.
say this though, also a game that just is cool as a fan of the sport, right? NC State versus Virginia in Rio de Janeiro, the first game in South America.
Oh, I like that.
Pretty
That's
cool.
a good one.
Yeah.
That's really
pretty
fun.
cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
expanding the brand.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that college football is taking kind of the NFL route of doing more of the global games. I think they've just
Yeah.
seen how successful it's been. And seeing that, so that's a really cool matchup as well.
The only thing that concerns me with college football going more global is that these kids, they're horny teenagers. They're gonna ravage any country they go into.
They're gonna.
That's a real. That's a real.
They
problem.
gotta have they have to have the curfews, strict curfews. We gotta be back in the hotel.
Non-football
9:30.
Human problem.
Yeah.
Does that include Bill Belichick's girlfriend?
Yes, that is. That includes Bill Belichick.
Too.
Bill Belichick might have to be in by like 6. She has to be in by like 7. Whatever. Just an hour difference.
You put 53 Jack dudes times 2 in Rio de Janeiro. You tell me not everybody's half coming back with STDs. I don't believe it.
It's gonna be interesting time, but let's see. But then again, a lot of those times it's everyone use production. A lot of those times it's just like get to the hotel, get to the arena, get back. Especially Rio de Janeiro, some spots are rough there, so hopefully those players are smart. Stay in the safe areas, please. We don't need a sad news report when we do our second college football episode.
That's true.
But with that, on that note, we got a lot of exciting things happening. Like I said, college football around the corner, NFL around the corner. But for our first college football episode, this was a blast. Thank you, 3, for joining me. It's been a lot of fun having the core 4 back together after all this time. And stay tuned and lock in. We're going to probably try to do a college football podcast at least once a month, maybe twice, depending on what storylines go on. And then we'll continue our NFL content as we normally do, at least once a week. So just stay locked in. It's been a fun time talking some college football with you guys. And stay locked in for everything yards after the catch. We are like everywhere now. We are just firing all cylinders. We're on all these different platforms. Follow us on IG, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Desmond, there's a brand that you got us on. There's a company say it for me. Yeah, Breath. There we go. We're getting all over the place. We're on Threads. But what was the other podcast platform?
Castbox.
Castbox.
There it
We're
is.
all over the place. So make sure you give us a follow there. We're on the YouTubes as well. Like and subscribe. Comment on our posts. We love interactions. We love seeing everything that's going on. Stay locked in for yards after the catch, and we'll see you on the next college football episode.